Hello, welcome back to the channel. So recently I went home, I visited Glenfarclas when I was back home, and I thought I'd share with you today just some of the things that I filmed when I was there, give you a wee bit of history, and I'd tell you some fun facts about the distillery. So Glenfarclas officially started production in 1836, when the original owner Robert Hay purchased a distilling licence. However, like a lot of other foreign distilleries at the time, Glenfarclas had been operating illicitly since at least the 1790s, with paintings dating to this time depicting the distillery. Nearly 30 years after going legal, Hay passed away in 1865, and his farm and distillery, they were bought by Robert Grant, who had his own farm nearby in Glenlivet. But Grant, he wasn't particularly interested in distilling. He bought the farm to have a layover point when taking his cattle to the nearby market in Elgin. So Grant, he leased the distillery to Big John Smith, a distinguished distillery manager, having already worked at Macallan and Glenlivet. And Big John worked at Glenfarclas until he decided it was about time to open his own distillery, Cragganmore, in 1869. Glenfarclas is still in the hands of the Grant family, having been passed down through 6 generations. It's one of the few Scottish distilleries to still be family owned. And they are quite traditional in the way that they work. So their entire core range goes into sherry, predominantly Oloroso casks, and they still directly fire their stills at Glenfarclas. Most distilleries, they use steam to boil the wash during distillation. However, Glenfarclas, they still use gas, claiming it gives their new make spirit more guts. They're only one of 3 distilleries to still employ this technique, the others being Glenfiddich and Springbank. The tasting room at Glenfarclas is really quite unique. So all of the wood panelling you see, it came from the smoking room of a ship called the Princess of Australia, which began construction in Germany in 1912 before being seized by the Allies in World War I. From there, the boat was used as a passenger ship, it then transported troops in World War II, before being decommissioned and the smoking room panelling ending up at Glenfarclas. However, the panelling alone, it wasn't quite enough for the owners. They wanted the full Princess of Australia experience. So they tracked down the Italian company that designed the room's ornate roof and got them to produce an exact replica. So I mentioned earlier that Glenfarclas directly fires their stills, gives their spirit the guts. But while I was there, I did find out that they do chill filter their whiskey. So chill filtration, essentially you cool the whiskey down. As the whiskey cools, the heavy compounds, the fats, the acids, the oils, they start to coagulate. And then you pass this cooled spirit through a fine mesh. That traps these coagulated compounds. It means when you add ice to your dram, the whiskey's not going to turn cloudy. But you might be thinking this seems a wee bit contradictory. So, on the one hand, they're direct firing their stills, they want to produce that meaty spirit. On the other hand, they're chill filtering, they're trying to strip those oils away. But they joke at the distillery that they use the chill filter machine, but they don't actually switch it on. So, the whiskey, it's not cooled to a huge extent before it's passed through the filter. So even if you do like those sort of big, oily, mouth-coating drams, which is something I do personally enjoy, I wouldn't be put off by Glenfarclas. To me, it's still got a lovely, rich mouthfeel. Now back in the 1980s, Glenfarclas, they did experiment with steam heating their stills, just like most other distilleries in Scotland. But to them, the spirit they produced, it just wasn't as good, it just wasn't what they were looking for. So they decided that the happy balance was direct firing and chill filtration. And I must say, the drams, they come out quite fine. They're doing a good job. So if you've got a favourite Glenfarclas whisky or expression, yeah, I can pop that in the comments below. I'm a big fan of the 15 actually. I think it's got a wee bit more character, a wee bit more depth than the 21 surprisingly. I'm also quite partial to a 105 as well, which when it hit the market in 1968, it was the first commercially available cask strength whisky. So if that's your favourite, do let me know. Subscribe if you're new, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and catch you in the next one.